Again, check what the bots need. Anything important here? No. So we can stamp. Now we're going to get into the next part of the blueprint. So we're done the 2 section. We're getting into the backside. So the first, you'll notice as I shift through the blueprint, we've got a power blueprint to build. That is not part of the main base. We're going to build those up here where the power is. If you cannot find it easily, use the little belts, the radar, and the roboport as indicators of how to line this up. So it's like this. So you might have yours backwards and like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And okay, you might be scrambling to find it. Just belt, roboport, radar. It lines up like this. Hold shift. Right now I can't stamp it because there's rocks in the way. Hold shift, left click, stamps it in, done. When you stamp power, you do not have to wait at all. You can immediately stamp a section of the base. Consider the 2 things relatively independent of one another. Power and base can be stamped at the same time. So we've got 1 power going. We've got our main base going. Now we're going to transition to the back side of the base. Talk about aligning main base blueprints off the rail notches. Yeah, that's a great thing to point out. So it gets a little challenging now to start aligning the main base. So let's say it was like this. This is wrong rotated, and you might fight to find the alignment. The thing that I use the most is the bottom right-hand corner. You'll notice little rail pieces sticking out. That is the easiest way to align this quickly. So if you're using this, I can't point to it, but if you're using the big fat section of the base on the left-hand side to visually align, you might be like fighting with it to find out where it fits just nice. Like you're moving all around. Use the rail. On the right-hand side, there's little rail notches, extremely easy to find. So like on the bottom right, I can see that little claw-like rail. Just line it up in the bottom. Make sure it's mostly blue. Done. Okay, we're getting our first alarm. So because of the research for logistics and the wiring, we now have alarms set up. Excellent. Now that we have alarms, we don't have to think anymore. The alarms are going to do all the thinking for us. This is great. We don't want to use our brain. When the bots are dinging like this, they are ready for work. They want more stuff to do. So you can keep stamping more sections of the blueprint. So, okay, little shopping list when you're leaving your base right now. You want a bunch of roboports, all the red belt you can possibly hold, and a bunch of power lines, which we already have, and you're going to go to the right. There's more stuff that can be done. There are more things that can be done at this point to optimize speed. I'm not going to get into it. Power lines, red belt, roboport. Start marching towards the backside of the base. Again, critical items right now. Red belt, roboports, power lines. Red belt, roboports, power lines. No coal. Yeah, I probably should have coal. You should have coal. I'm going to grab solid fuel. You should have coal. That alarm that's going off right now is power armor. Notice how power armor is right here. So you hear that raid siren? That means power armor's ready. Typically, power armor won't be ready this fast, but power armor's ready, so let's pick it up. So, to pick up power armor, you're going to come right down here. There's a box with batteries in it. You're going to right-click this box twice while holding control. Right-click, right-click. That's going to pick up 3 batteries, which is all you want. There's a 4th one in there that we don't want. You just want 3. Okay. Empty this box, 19. Empty this box, right-click the armor. Legs, batteries, panels, done. Now we're zooming. I've grabbed solid fuel out of this chem plant so that I have some solid fuel on me for my train, and I'm going to run this way. Again, I'm going to bypass a few things that can make you faster because they're not important. We want to get back here as quick as possible. Okay, priority of lanes, and you'll notice that we no longer have combinators. So if you're curious what each lane requires, click on the belt. You'll see it has an enabled condition. Coal. Coal goes into all 4 of these. If you have these belts, iron. Iron goes into all of these. These belts, you can click them. Copper. These belts, stone. Make sense? Click them. That's what they need. So if you're confused about what to go into each belt, I did not add combinators to these ones. And the reason I did not is it'll screw up some blueprinting for later. So just Click the belt. It needs coal. If you are, I mean, you can commit this to memory, but it's, yeah, coal, iron, copper, stone, iron. The order of priority is iron first and then this coal. So these two need to be built right away. If you can't tell what should be built first, it's the section that has stuff behind it waiting. So all these furnaces are waiting to move. They want material. There's no sense in putting copper here. There's no furnaces here. So do iron and coal. Iron and coal. Now, there's a lot of assessments to be made on the backside. So in my opinion, the front side is a lot of technical execution, especially getting to blue science. Once you get to the backside, it's less technical execution and it's more planning. You have to try to visualize how this is all going to get fit together and plan that out. And there's a lot of options here. So I know the alarm is super annoying. Let me just get rid of it. So we need to connect as much ore as possible, as fast as possible, and get it processing. The priority order is iron first, then coal, then copper and stone, and then the second iron. We want the base spots to build as much as we can, especially for stuff that is close by, but sometimes we might need to use a train. So this coal, for example, is kind of far away. We are probably going to use a train to connect this coal. So by knowing that right away, something I don't want to do is take power line here and drag it like this. Because if I set up my hotbar now, in the beginner friendly blueprints, you'll see there's this miner's backside book and there's a mining outpost book. We're going to put those on our bar. Mining outposts have these nice train prints that click into the base. But you'll notice because we drag power lines through this, it doesn't fit. So if you can quickly identify what is going to require a train, you can immediately tick that into existence and then not worry about covering it up. Okay? So I know we're going to train coal because this distance is a little far to belt. So we're not going to belt it. Now the bots will wave through here and build this. This iron is very comfortable to belt. When you are building your miner prints, you have a 1, a 2, a 4, and an 8. The 8 blueprint is only for use on the first few lanes if you are extremely fast. I think for regular runners that are not going extremely fast, it is fine to use the 4. You will notice that the only difference is the 4 will go to 200 miners, the 8 will go to 220. The reason for the difference is that if you do not have mining productivity 2, the 4 is not going to work at full capacity. Always better to belt. It's just if you're running out of red belt or it's super far away, you're going to have to use a train. But in general, you want to belt. Now, let's also talk about the safe placement of this patch. The base is going to be built like a huge rectangle, and it is going to extend down this way and up this way. It's going to go in both directions. Relatively safe way to tell if you can build somewhere is to just imagine this train track going straight down. Do not build anywhere that is going to touch. Don't actually build this in because you might screw up the base. But this train track is going to exist. Do not come within a tile of it because there might be signals on it too. So I'm going to go into my mining prints and I'm going to build a 4 that has 200 drills. I'm going to put it, we'll put it far to the left just so that I can display what I mean. Now I can check. Perfect. Tons of leeway here. This is totally safe. Make sure that it's not close to that rail. Do not be within a tile of that rail. Next thing I have to do is make sure the power is connected. Once this is all built, you can absolutely add power lines inside of it. Just don't delete any part of it. Now we're going to take our 4 red belts. And if you recall, iron went here. Extend the rail first. Even though we don't have rail, it's fine. The bots can build it. Now, I don't have any red undergrounds on me, so I have a conundrum. I'm going to hold shift and let the bots take care of that part, and then keep going. Simple as that. Iron's connected. Okay. Our next priority was this coal, but because we have to train the coal, we need to get rail and everything required to build an outpost. There's several options now for building these outposts. I know this backside part's a little complex, but once you understand the basic mechanics of having either the base build something, the train build something, you're literally just going to repeat this like 20 times. So understanding the mechanics is important, and then after that, it becomes extremely easy. So let's go through what shopping in the base looks like to get all the material you need to make anything. So yellow boxes right here. Empty the chest completely if you want to. It doesn't matter. Cutting to the left, if you needed red undergrounds, they are right here underneath the red science. This is going to have a ton in it because we've been slow. I do not recommend taking all of them. Take a couple stacks, more than enough. Do not steal everything from the base. Rail is right here. So again, if you're using the power pole as an alignment, it is straight down from the power pole. Rail. Empty the box. Grenades right next to power poles. Empty the box. Red belt right next to power poles. Typically, I would empty this box, but we're going slow, so we have thousands and thousands and thousands of red belt. You do not need all of it. You can leave the base with some. What you should have on you right now, you also need blue arms. So you can get blue arms right here. Half the box is fine. Okay, we are going to show you what it's like to build a mining outpost. So when you do this, you have a couple of options. We're going to build the rail first. And when you build this, we're basically, the goal here is to get coal to the base. We need this coal to get to the base, right? But the distance to belt this is fairly excessive. So we're going to have trains go and get the coal and bring it back. And using this amount of rail is quicker and easier than using all that belt. There's two ways that we can have this coal patch built. We can have this coal patch built by the base bots. So there's tons of bots in our base that are eagerly waiting to build stuff. We could connect the roboports out here and have the base bots fire this up lickety split, right? The other way is this outpost train. So there's a train that is sitting right here ready to start building outposts. And the reason that you would use this train is if the outpost that you're making for ore is really far away, then having the base bots travel all the way out there takes longer and is inefficient. So I'm going to show you what it's like to use this train. So all we're going to do is turn it on, and it will move into spot, and it will start loading up with materials. What it is loading up with is every single thing needed to build an outpost that will mine the ore for you, including the robots required to build the outposts. Essentially what we're doing is disconnecting the ore from our main base so that it gets built in an isolated way that will not disrupt what is going on in the main base. In order to do that, we're going to get so I have two mining outposts here, a right and a left, just depending on how you want the rail to kick out of it. Place it on the patch, try to make sure all the drills are green. Again, it says 200 on it, so if you're not sure, highlight 208 drills. Great, the goal was 200, we got 208. Now let's talk about what is essential here to build, because we need to build enough for the train to show up, and that's it. So we had our rail coming down. We're going to connect this right here. Do not, sometimes what will happen is you will be ghosting this in, let's say, and you're going to try to connect it to here, and you'll it's really hard to give an example of this, but make sure you're not connecting from here. So where I'm building from right now looks totally innocent, right? It looks like this is fine, but you're actually one space in from the tip. This will break the outpost and it will not work. Connect it at the absolute tip. It must be connected from here, not turned from here like this. This will not work. You have to connect it from the absolute tip. You're just going to build straight in, enough to get to this train stop. You'll notice there's two train stops. You want to build the one that's further in, not next to the roboport. Right here. I don't have train stops on me. Son of a... Okay, hold on. We're going to pause the YouTube video. And that part isn't there. So we're gonna have rails, train stops on us. We'll stitch this together. Hold on, no, it's just fine. We had train stops the whole time. Hold on, but I always get my train stops from right here. I steal them from this train. So train stops. You also might want some signals. I steal some signals here. And sometimes I'm an extra dirty little goblin and I steal rail here too. And then I jump in my train and I go back. So we're back here. We're where we were. Everything's normal. We had the stop on us the whole time. Okay, so we're going to build this stop, which we got earlier, way earlier, a long time ago. This stop is in. It is called mine construction. Notice that's not this one. This one will get built by the train. We're going to build our roboport, our 2 power lines, our 3 yellow boxes, and our 6 blue arms. It is essential that these things get built exactly as I built them. There's logic here that can break exactly as I built them. 2 power lines exactly where they are. So that doesn't mean you build this one. You don't create a new one. You build exactly as it is. 3 yellow boxes, 6 blue arms. Yes, including these 2 power lines exactly as they are. Then bring power back to the base, because you'll notice that outpost is doing nothing right now. And try not to get hit by a train. It's going to happen to you at some point. Try to avoid it. I just want to preface that these outposts are finicky. They have lots of logic in them, and they have to be built correctly. So do not make any silly mistakes with them, is I guess all I'm getting at. This has to be built. I guess the point I'm trying to make is that this has to be built exactly as the blueprint asks, and nothing extra. Exactly as the blueprint asks and nothing extra. Got it? Great. Now, if you recall a long time ago, the bots were dinging and I deleted their alarm. I'm going to go reprint, which will put the alarm back in. And then I'm going to stamp the next phase of the blueprint. How do I know I need to stamp the next phase of the blueprint? There's several things we can check. 1, there's an alarm going off telling us to do it, which you can hear now. 2, we've connected these 2 ores and there's nothing left here. We can check the map. Everything is built. We can check what bots are missing. Nothing. Bots are waiting for work. Everything is built. It is safe to stamp the next print. So line it up. Again, I'm using the bottom right-hand corner, the little rail tongs, the little C shape there, and I'm stamping right there. Now you can see that I have to just keep moving up the line and connect what? Copper. And what's this one? Stone. You'll notice the stone is only at 2. Copper's right here. This is very beltable. So let's go over there and connect the base. The dough is pointing out that I need to start my train. So this is true. In the bottom right-hand corner, you can see this alarm. Start trains. Start trains. There's a picture of a train. Okay? This is telling you that there's trains waiting to go. These trains. So if I click it, it'll highlight it on the screen. I can see the alarm. I want to check that the outpost that they're going to is done. Great. Now we can start them. Why would you not start them if it's still dinging? You would not start them if they don't have anywhere to go. So make sure that they have an outpost built. Like technically they'll ding even if there's no rail here and they just want to go. So make sure they have somewhere to go. And then make sure that all the trains have fuel in them and then start them. So to start them, just click a train, hit automatic. Click a train, hit automatic. Click a train, hit automatic. Done. Ideally, they leave right away. Copper's fully built. Good. Let's try to go a little quicker. The next thing that's needed is stone. There's some decisions to make for stone. We know we need 2 stone. The stone is only, it's right here, a 2. So if I go into my mining print, I can look at the 2 and I can see that this is not quite big enough. We could force this to work, but there's a bigger one right here that would be easier to use. Let's discuss what if you only had this tile. So it says 100 on it. Let's stamp it. That's about as tight as I can get it. And let's see what it's got. It's got 102. Let's just say that, you know, this rim right here is pretty crappy and this one's pretty crappy and we thought maybe it wasn't enough. In the beginner blueprints, there is this blueprint right here called a speed miner. I believe this is the Doe's exact blueprint, and you can see it's got some math on it. I think it's got some math on it that will help you, but basically you can use this blueprint as a method of enhancing some of the miners to take a patch that is otherwise inferior and make it functional. So let's just say we were concerned about the top line here. We could take in these 2 drills here that have 40-some thousand ore. So we know for sure they are going to hold up over the course of the entire run. And we could remove them and we could replace them with speed miners. And we know that those speed miners are going to do a better job and they're going to last a very long time. So just a way to like slightly boost the edges of our blueprint and ensure that this will meet the demand required. So again, you probably didn't need to do this on this very specific stone patch, but it's good to understand how this works, because if you didn't have 100 drills here, 100 is the goal. You will need to boost with speed mining to make sure that you have the full 100. So what I'm doing right now is I'm connecting the stone and the copper. The Doe is not wrong that it is important to not get the bots way ahead of the player. But if they are dinging and they have nothing to do, you can keep stamping. But relatively, the order should be like the ore is coming in for sections that can actually process the ore, and then you stamp. So all the ore is coming in. I know the bots were dinging earlier, so I'm going to stamp again. And now I've got new sections where this ore can be processed and another section demanding ore from here. Okay, so this is another example of when we're going to train something. So again, you'll get a gut check for what this distance is, but this distance is too far for me to want to belt. So I'm going to get my book out. I'm going to get the train section for the base, stamp it into place right here like that. And connect it just like that. You should hear there, that dinging noise you just heard, that's the train leaving. You can always check it by going to the map, seeing that it's on the way. Train is going to come here and build, and then it needs power, which I generally do on the way back. This can be fun. Just make sure you don't break the line, so go slow enough that you can keep it stable and connect. There. The other thing was how this connecting to other stuff. So let's just say that you had your base connecting like to here. Okay. So try to visualize this green line that my finger is on moving up further and creating a box. Okay. Let's just say that this was here, and my base fully connected these. If my base network was like this, then the base bots would come out here and they would build some rail, they'd build some drills, they'd build some belt. They would start building the little sliver of this outpost just right there on the end. They would start building that. And that means that the outpost train would not build that. And there's logic attached to these. So we've discussed the extremely maniacal logic going on in here. If these boxes do not get fully emptied the way that they should get emptied, then no train will ever be allowed to come here. So if your base builds part of this and not the outpost building part of this, the outpost won't work. It will not work. It is just bad. I could probably talk for hours about all the stupid things that can happen with these dumb train outposts. But if you just put on your oven mitts, you just got to put your oven mitts on and pretend they're like a hot pizza coming out of the oven, and you just got to be careful, okay? You got to be careful with them. If you just handle these carefully and just build exactly what is required, make sure that they are not touching the base. They're like a Fabergé egg, and you just want to carefully cradle them. And if they are built just right, they will function perfectly. There will be no problems. So they should be on their own network, completely isolated on their own network. Do not help them build anything except rail. You are only building rail and the essential stuff around the Roboport, and that's it. Okay? Their outpost is ready. We are going to start these trains. We also have had base bots dinging at us. Everything is built. There's nothing essential here, just modules. We're going to stamp the next part of the blueprint. Now, there's a little bit of weirdness at 3-4. We've just stamped 3-4, which is the ending of the first part of the backside. After 3-4 is a power blueprint. You should stamp the first part of this power blueprint immediately after 3-4, right now. We have built these first 5 lanes. Coal is running, iron is running, copper is running, stone is running. This iron is going to an outpost and it is running. Let's just say hypothetically that you accidentally mix mined this. Let's see what happens if there was stone running down this belt. Oh my God. There's a horrific alarm going off and the world is ending. Hopefully whatever mistake you made is not that bad, but you'll notice that this will not accept anything else. It is only going to accept iron. If you go into the beginner blueprints, there's a book with an M on it called Mixed Mining Fix. You want to match this to the ore that is required in this section. So this is copper, this is coal, this is stone, this is iron. You can see the little words on the blueprint. So we want iron. Do not do it like this. The belts are moving backwards. Do it like this. The belts are moving forwards with the intended direction. Stamp this into existence. This will prevent further issues from arising. However, you still have to cut this issue off at the source. Now, we did not make a mistake. This had no mixed mining. But if this had mixed mining, there is a radar set up here, and you can quickly check the fringes of your drills. And let's just say hypothetically that one of your drills was mixed. I can just decon it from here. This will immediately stop the drill, and a robot is going to come down here and pick this drill up and remove it. I'm not going to let him finish that task because this drill is a good boy. We do not want to remove him. Okay, let's do the next 3 lanes. So this one is a copper, this one is an iron, and the last one is a copper. Make sense? So let's take a look at the map and plan this. So 1 copper is close. I'd say we can belt this copper. The other copper and the other iron are far. I'd say we're going to train these. So if we set this up on the map, we would do train for the far copper, train for the far iron, and then nothing at the top because we're going to belt. So this is going to give us a good insight into 2 outposts that are relatively close together, almost problematically so. And we'll see what to do about that. So let's build this one up here. Train stop. Ding, you heard the ding right away. Train's on the way, that's good. Roboport. We want our arms, our boxes, our 2 power lines. Let's get this to the closest power we can, which there's some directly south of us, so we'll go there. Okay. The next thing we want to set up is this iron patch. There's also bots that are dinging, so because they're dinging, let's put in power 3. So if you recall, we put in power 2 last time. Now we can put in power 3, and then immediately, because bots are still dinging at us and everything is built, we can put in 4-1 stamp. Okay. These 2 outposts are close in proximity, and that's going to present some problems. So let's say we want to build this iron outpost right now, because that does make sense. So let's put the iron outpost in. Let's do it like that. And now you're going to see that this Roboport can build stuff down here. Well, that's not good. We don't want that Roboport to be able to build stuff down here because that causes problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to build this just like we would any other outpost. Any other outpost, we're going to do it exactly the same way. It's going to start heading home. And all we have to do to make sure that these 2 things will function fine, I'll cover that train crossing in a second, is that this Roboport and this Roboport have to kiss. And so we're just going to connect the power into the middle. Now we're going to link them together. They now represent a shared island, just like this. That's going to share everything. Now, There are some small issues that can come up here if you don't have the second train quickly. I want to go get the second train quickly. Oop, nope. Thank you. There. We heard the ding. Train's on the way. All that matters is the train visits each section. Is if the train has visited each section and they are connected via roboports, then ultimately everything that is needed to be built will get built and the logic will work. So if the two outposts are close enough that they can, like, this one is close enough to build parts of this one, you have to connect them. They have to touch one another. Now we have a rail crossing to deal with. Every single rail crossing in 100%, you're going to take regular rail signals, not chain signals, regular rail signals, and just cover all four sides. That's it. I understand that if you play Factorio regularly, this makes you vomit. You hate this. You want chain signals. You want niceness. Sorry, this is what you get. It looks like shit and it works. Okay, we're going to build a miner here to belt copper. We're going to do this. Okay, bots are dinging. We've built everything we need here. There looks like there's everything in the base built. The list of entities, we've recently stamped stuff, so it's kind of loading, but yeah, it's not showing us anything, but there's not a lot of entities missing. Nothing critical is missing, so we're going to stamp now. Everything in the base is built. Let's go to 4-2. Stamp. All right, the last connection up here at the very top, which unfortunately I can't see and I have no grenades. I'll just get the bots to clean this. The last connection that we have to do on the backside before we shift is these two oil pipes. These two oil pipes require oil. If you go into the pipes and pump jacks book yet again, there's going to be a pipes for oil blueprint. We need oil here. This is excellently placed. Super easy to build. So bring power, bring robos. You're going to have a wonderful book inside the pipes and pump jacks called Pump Jacks. Right here. Pump jacks. Take your pump jacks book, drag it all around until you got as many of them covered as you can. Good. Now you're going to start doing some math. You'll also notice that in our alerts, we have some new alerts going off. So there's start trains. So let's go take a look at those. 2 trains want to start. And these are fully built. That's a good idea. This is why the backside, I find, tends to be a little easier. There's a lot of alerts going off that'll sort of keep you on the rails. Sort of. Okay. We're going to do a small amount of math. The amount that you're looking for each of these pipes to have is between 1,000 and 1,200. 1,000 and 1,200, okay? So 187, we're just going to try to do fast math, 1,000 to 1,200. So I'm going to call that 200. Another 150 for 350, 500, 600, 700, 800, 950, 1,100, plus that is 1,300. Perfect. We're going to call that set a complete set. Now, let's say I can't remember if that one was included. Let's say you don't want to do as much math. You can just fire them together. I mean, it's your run. You can do whatever you want. They really should have 11, like 1,000 to 1,200. Whoops, don't connect the two. But you're just taking a chance that you're not getting enough. So 200, 400, 600. Yeah, there looks like there's plenty. We'll just give them these 2 more. Done. You can clear out the ones you never used. So just decon the ones you didn't need so that they go back to the system. Now we have 2 independent oil systems that have to be connected. So just get them relatively close together like this, but not touching. Not touching, just like the water, not touching. Have them like this. And now, none of this has power. You've probably seen speedrunners do this a lot. So you just get out the power pole, Single power pole, hold shift, and just go brrrr, like a shotgun, like that. If you don't want to be that messy, let me just undo 1,000 times. If you don't want to be that messy, just slowly go over until you've touched each one. Holding shift. If you have the ghost of this and you're holding shift as you move around, it should not ever impact a pipe. Even though I'm on the pipe, it will never build on top of a pipe because it does not allow that. So, okay, we've got our pumps all set up. We just need to connect them to the main base via the pipes for oil print. This is exactly the same as the water prints, except it's oil now. So, and it's got some pumps in it as well. So from here, this way, we can set these up with a pump. Why not? So if you thought you needed a pump, oops, wrong book. You could put a pump in, but let's just say you do put a pump in and you leave it like this. This is when your entire chat is going to start spamming power for the pump, power for the pump. They get all mad at you. So this is not going to work. 0 oil is going to come through this. Make sure every time you put pumps down, you power them. Very, very important to power them. What defines needing a pump? So the dough brought it up earlier for the front side oil, every like 20 underground connections. I think we had determined it was safer to do it like every 10 like doubles. So every 20 entities. If 20 entities have been created by the time you reach the next pump, put another pump. Every 20 entities. So every 10 double humps of pipe. Okay. Everything in the base is built. All the oil is built. I can stamp the next part of the blueprint, which is power. Again, every time you stamp something that's power, immediately you can stamp the base. So just power, base, get them both going at the same time. Okay. We have finished the entire backside now. The entire backside is done. So just to review, we've done coal, we've done iron, done copper, we've done stone, we've done another iron, copper, iron, copper. We have built all of the inner parts of the base. The bots are working on the last bit of it. We've connected oil. Our oil is fully powered. It will be. Our oil is all good. It is moving through the pipes. We have set up some things with trains, set up some things with miners. We've reviewed speed miners when you do not have enough ore. We've reviewed connecting outposts if they're too close to one another. We've reviewed putting signals down every time trains crossed, always. All of that stuff is done.